Hi, I'm Andrew with Hassle-Free Home Services, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about your water heater. The water heater is one of those appliances in your home where you don't even think about as long as it's working properly. This can actually be a bit of a mistake. Water heaters, like anything else in your house, require appropriate ongoing maintenance to make sure that they last as long as possible. There are two types of water heaters that you'll commonly come across. The first and most common is the tank water heater, which consists of a large holding tank where the water is heated before it is circulated through your house. The second type, which is a newer version, is the tankless, which is more of an instant-on type of water heater. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about those today. As far as the tank water heater is concerned, they come in lots of shapes and sizes, and two basic types. One is powered by gas, the other by electricity. There are differences between those two types, but what we really want to focus on is not the details of how the water heaters function, but what you can do to maintain them, and what you should look out for when it comes to troubleshooting your water heater. So the first thing you need to do is understand a few of the key components of your water heater. Let's start with the shutoff valve. In the event of an emergency, such as a leak, the first thing you want to do is shut off the water coming into the water heater. You do that using the shutoff valve. Now, your water heater will have multiple pipes coming out of the top. Usually, at a minimum, it'll have an inlet valve that brings cold water into the tank and the outlet valve, the outlet pipe that takes the hot water out. You want to find the shutoff valve that is on the inlet line. The way to do that is check the pipe. If it feels cold, then you know that's the cold water coming into the tank. Once you've identified the right pipe, all you do is simply turn the valve until it's perpendicular with the pipe, and you have shut off the water. The second component of the water heater that you want to be aware of is what's called the pressure relief valve. That's this valve that sits on the top of the tank, top side of the tank, and then has a pipe that runs down along the side. What the pressure relief valve does is essentially prevents your water heater from, for lack of a better word, blowing up from too much pressure. If your burners run too long or some other malfunction occurs that allows pressure to build up inside the tank, this valve will allow air to escape out to relieve that pressure. The one thing you need to look for around the pressure relief valve is signs of water on the floor coming out of this pipe. The third key component of your water heater that you need to be aware of is the drain valve. This serves several functions. If you ever need to replace your water heater or for whatever reason empty it, this is where you would do that. You can see it has a threaded spout, which I will show you, that is the size of a standard garden hose. And then it'll have a knob of some sort. Some are plastic, some are metal, some just have a slotted screw head that you need a screwdriver to turn. But all of those, once you have a hose hooked up, you can use to drain the water out of the tank. This is where you can perform some basic regular maintenance on your water heater to prolong its useful life. As I mentioned, there are gas water heaters and electric water heaters. This one happens to be a gas, as you can tell by the cast iron gas pipe running into the unit and the control mechanism on the front. As far as the gas line, really don't want to mess with that unless you have a scenario where you might smell gas around the unit or have another concern along those lines. In which case, simply turn the shutoff valve on the gas line to shut off the gas to the unit. The temperature control valve has a number of different functions. One, it can be used to relight the pilot if it goes out, but more basically, it allows you to set the temperature of the water in your house. If you look at the temperature control knob, it'll have multiple settings. It'll have an arrow, which is sort of the recommended level, and after that, A, B, C, and very hot. You want to be very careful when you set this above the A or B level because it can create scalding temperature water in your faucets and showers. So just be aware when you're setting the water temperature not to set it too high. The other thing you can use this for is, in the event that you're going to be away for a period of time and want to conserve energy, you can turn the temperature level all the way down to low so that your water heater is not constantly heating water while you're away. There is some basic maintenance that you can do yourself to maintain and prolong the life of your water heater. The most basic item is to drain water off of it on a regular basis. This can be done every couple of months, and the reason for doing it is that water coming into your unit from the water source contains contaminants, debris, silt, whatever, that over time build up in the bottom of your water heater. As they do, it can lead to corrosion not only of the bottom of the tank, but can also do damage to the burner elements and other components of your water heater. So, what do you do about it? Well, it's actually a very simple task. What you do is you take a hose, a bucket, and you drain water from the bottom of the water heater. So let me show you how this is done. The first step is you need to remove the cap from the drain valve, if there is in fact one. Now, if you don't have one on your water heater, you should go ahead and put one on. It's a nice little way to prevent small drips from becoming bigger issues. Remove the drain cap, and then just take a basic garden hose segment. You can buy smaller pieces of hose at most hardware stores. You go ahead and securely attach the hose to the drain valve. Make sure it's nice and tight so that when you turn the drain valve, it doesn't end up leaking all over the floor. Then, make sure you hold the other end in the bucket so that when the water comes out, and it'll come out with some force, that you don't all of a sudden have a fire hose scenario with the hose flipping all over the place and flooding your basement. Now you want to go ahead and slowly turn the valve and start to run water into your bucket. Now be careful, because the water is very hot. Now you want to run probably a couple of gallons worth, at least until the water starts to run clear. Okay, once you've run enough water, go ahead and turn it off. Now here's the part that will help you save yourself a little bit of cleanup. You want to make sure that you elevate the hose to get as much of the water out as possible before you disconnect it from the valve. Otherwise, that water will end up all over your floor when you disconnect the hose. Then you disconnect and keep the end that was attached to the water heater in an upright position, again, to minimize leakage. And then you can drain that into your bucket. And that's it. Very simple. Once you're done, go ahead and put your cap back on. Make sure things aren't dripping on the floor. So, you've taken care of the crud that builds up on the bottom of your water heater. What else do you need to do? Really, that's about it, other than conducting a visual inspection of the unit. What do you want to look for? Pretty easy stuff. You're looking for signs of rust or corrosion on the top of the unit, on the bottom, around the intake and outlet valves, around the shutoff valve, and if it's a gas unit that has a ventilation pipe coming out of the top, you want to check and make sure that that pipe is intact and hasn't come apart in any place. Finally, you're probably only going to be looking at your water heater every month or two. What do you do to prevent a major catastrophe from happening in between those visits? Probably the easiest and least expensive way to do that is to buy a small water alarm that you sit on the floor next to your water heater. You can get these at any home improvement store, $12, $13. And I tell you, it can save you from a major catastrophe. The sensors on the bottom that you just heard will sense if there's water on the floor. And that piercing sound will be heard from anywhere in your home. So get one of these, put it on the floor, and take care of your regular maintenance on your water heater, and you should be in good shape. Okay, so the good news is you can take control of maintaining your water heater and help prolong its life. The bad news is the life expectancy of a water heater can range anywhere from 6 to 15 years. It really depends on the quality of the water heater, what's in your water, etc. Now, if you get into a scenario where you have a failure, then you need to contact the service professional. The first step, turn off the water to the water heater and then go call your plumber.